We are very, very excited to have you join us tonight on Tuesday Talks. We have been providing content and a lot of information about entrepreneurship for the last 27 years. God, is it that many years already? It's for 27 years. And so with COVID-19, we typically run our meetings and all that kind of stuff and our training inside our offices. But with COVID-19, we're all confined to our homes. And so I am actually out at my lake house here in Las Vegas. And so I have a little different scenery in my background versus being in my normal studio. So, but anyway, we can't tell you in words how excited we are to have you join us tonight. We have a great guest speaker that we're going to talk to you, that we're going to introduce to you in just a moment. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys. And if you're joining us, please make sure that you take some great notes. I think we've got so many wonderful information here today. I'd hate to see you not take notes, or if you're on your computer, you can certainly take your cell phone and take some pictures of the screen, whatever you got to do. And then what we'll do is tonight, I'm going to speak for about a half an hour, bring in my guest speaker, and then we'll do some questions and answers. He'll certainly talk to you as well. All right, let's see here. Sorry, guys, had a little audio technical difficulty. I'm assuming you guys can hear me because I'm using a whole different system here now at my other home. So I'm assuming you can see me well, that you can hear me all right. Let me just make sure what the chat is saying. Yeah, okay, great, you can hear me fine. All right, well, let's go ahead and tell you what we've been doing. For those of you that have joined us for the very first time, if you like what you hear today, we want you to join us next week on Tuesday, July 28th at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you look at the arrow, it's going like this and it's shaking and blinking. We have a husband and wife couple who will be joining us next week. And this couple's really amazing couple, what they've done, what they continue to do. So join us next week as well. Hopefully you'll enjoy today's program, which I know you will. So that's that. So take that, make sure you register. And then for those of you that are joining us again for the first time, just some announcements for you. If you haven't read this book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, we highly recommend that you read it. It's an absolute timeless classic, because my wife and I read this book in the mid 90s, I should say. In the early 90s, my wife and I, we both were going to law school, or I should say we went to law school, we were working in the legal field, and then we met, and then just, we started a business, and this is the book that we read. This was our go-to book, and still almost 100 years later, this book still sells around the world every single day. People are embracing the principles, and I highly recommend that you do the same. Now, if you haven't read this book, you don't know about it, it's the first time you're hearing about it, understand that Napoleon Hill was just a reporter during the Great Depression. And during the Great Depression, he approached a man by the name of Andrew Carnegie. He asked Mr. Carnegie what the secret was to becoming successful. And so he basically sat down with Mr. Andrew Carnegie, and Andrew Carnegie felt that what Napoleon had asked him about what it takes to be successful was a great question, that he commissioned, Napoleon for 25 years to go out there and interview some of the greatest business people, industrialists, some of the greatest entrepreneurs that ever walked this planet. And so Andrew Carnegie being one of them. And then he interviewed Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Theodore Roosevelt, the Wright brothers, the Rockefellers, and many others. Over 500 people have been interviewed for this book. And then, of course, what Napoleon Hill did is he figured out what are the 13 common denominators that all these wonderful leaders had. He took those 13 common denominators, put it into a book called Think and Grow Rich, and now has sold over 200 million copies around the world. Now, just to give you a perspective, there's only 5 books that have ever sold since 1937, only 5 books that have ever sold over 100 million copies. You may be familiar with some of these. Number 1 is the Bible. Okay, now I'm not saying any of these in any particular order, but I am going to put the Bible at number 1. Think and Grow Rich, number 2. Now, these three are major theatrical releases, a movie called Harry Potter, another one called Lord of the Rings, and another one called The Twilight Saga. So those are your 5 books that ever sold over 100 million copies. This afternoon, I was having a conversation with somebody, having this, this particular about this book. And he said, he goes, oh, I'm wondering if Games of Thrones, and a lot of you Games of Thrones people, how big and how epic that particular series was on HBO. That book has only sold 90 million, I shouldn't say only, I mean, that's a lot of books, but sold 90 million copies around the world. So you can only imagine that Think and Grow Rich with over 200 million copies, it is an absolute must read. So I highly recommend you guys do so, because I did, along with my wife, in the mid-1990s. And then, of course, we embraced the principles, adopted them, and then put them into action. And so it's crazy, 30 years later, almost 30 years, right? Rounding up, that a guy like myself and my wife, we read this book, and then we have an opportunity, to make a movie out of it, an epic movie called Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy. Now, this particular movie was a theatrical release. It was a limited theatrical release. We weren't in theaters for 6 months or anything. But after that, we went straight to digital. We then did a lot of social media ads and advertising. We really, really learned how to master and embrace social media and geo-targeting and online marketing and email marketing. I mean, you name it. We did everything we could, and we did pretty amazing. This movie has now done over $20 million in gross sales around the world. And then, of course, this year we were going to be in Walmart, but with COVID-19, we pulled back, and we did get the approval that on August 7th, which is just a couple of weeks away, we will be doing a very special screening of this movie at 7:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This was a request from the Philippines. We had a bunch of people in the Philippines that had requested to watch this movie. So at 10 a.m. in the Philippines, we're going to be airing this. So if you know anybody in the Philippines, please reach out to them. And of course, the East Coast, 10 p.m. Now, you do have to register down here. We highly recommend you registering. And you got to register at bit.ly/TGR Legacy Movie. Now, all these letters that are uppercase and lowercase, this is a case-sensitive bit.ly. So whatever you see the upper and lower cases, make sure you do the same as you're registering, okay? Now, I would encourage you to get your spouse, your children, whoever, right? If you're inviting some family and friends over to your house to watch this, I would tell you to just, social distance, do what you're supposed to do. But what an awesome movie coming to life on your TV screen. So again, hope we see you on August 7th. And then this book, the original book, has now been re-released with the original unedited version of Napoleon Hill's works. And then from there, we had a different version. It's called Think and Grow Rich, a black choice, or a black version, written by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. And then Think and Grow Rich, a Latino choice. And then Think and Grow Rich for Women, written by Sharon Lechter. Now, for those of you that don't know Sharon Lechter, Sharon wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad with a man named Robert Kiyosaki. And so she wrote this book. She was the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. She was the CEO of Rich Dad, Poor Dad for about 10 years. And then from there, she went to Think and Grow Rich and got the rights to do Think and Grow Rich for Women. Now, you don't have to be a Latino or black or a woman to watch any of these. I highly recommend, or to read it, I highly recommend it. And then, of course, the one book I definitely recommend is the Asian version, which is called How Rich Asians Think and Grow Rich. And I have to say that this is an absolute masterpiece. When you sit there and understand how many Asians there are on this planet, they represent almost 50% of the world population. Now, the world population today is about 8 billion. So you take half of that, we're almost at 4 billion Asians on this planet. The Asian community represent about 5%, 5-6%, 5.5%, I think it is, population of the United States. And it's interesting to figure out you know, that the Asian community per capita is the highest paid or the highest compensated, you know, in terms of annual income. So you have to read why that is, and it's all in this book. And of course, it teaches you how to become successful yourself. As long as you embrace the principles, act on it, apply it, and have faith in it, it will work. Now, other people like Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, multi-billionaire, Elon Musk, who now just crossed over Warren Buffett is the highest net worth people according to Forbes magazine. Dwayne Johnson, Vera Wang, Steve Aoki, Kevin Harrington, and the list goes on. Penny Oy, Raja Dhaliwal, Jamie Villalobos, all these people are in this book. You'll notice that I've got white people, black people, Asian people, Latino people, I've got everyone, gay people, straight people, people from all different walks of life, different religions. And the reason being is that unfortunately there is something called racism in this country. And in fact, it exists all over the world. It is unfortunate that racism exists and there's different types of discrimination. We know that discrimination exists, right? Whether it's sex discrimination or, you know, age discrimination, right? Religious discrimination. There is, and it exists. But the one thing I've discovered is that success does not discriminate, right? Success goes to anybody who embraces it and wants it bad enough. In fact, in this book, How Rich Asians Think, we talk about in chapter 1, the starting point of all achievement, which is to have that burning desire. How bad do you want whatever it is that you're seeking to achieve? Whether it's a marriage, better health, a better relationship, to be better in business, to be wealthier financially, whatever it is that you're seeking, it's in this book, How Rich Asians Think. And please, for your benefit, not mine, right? For your benefit, we took this price, an ebook at $27.95, and it is available right now on Amazon for just $2.99. There is an audio version of this. There is an audio version and the hard book version as well. But I mean, for $2.99, how do you not get in there and find out the secrets of some of the wealthiest people, the most successful people in modern day today? And so it is available here. And again, someone, you know, once, I don't know where it was, but someone said, oh, this is a knockoff. I'm sure that the Napoleon Hill Foundation is probably churning as they're saying that some Asian guy is using their name. I'm not using their name. In fact, I am using their name, but not to, you know, in a bad way, right? This is an official publication of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. So the money and the proceeds go to the Napoleon Hill Foundation. So again, we are approved. So it's not like I'm stealing somebody's name. And I am honored to be a member of the faculty of the Think and Grow Rich organization. So after that, we went on a tour last year with the book and with the movie. We went on a Think and Grow Rich Legacy World Tour. Our intentions were to go to 12 countries, 34 states. We only went to 3. We went to 13 states instead of 34. But we're now that we can't do live events, we're actually going to be doing virtual events, and we'll be announcing some events coming up soon. In the meantime, just so you know, we have been wanting to teach people. Every Saturdays, I have an event called Shin-tastic Saturday, where you would join our podcast for 1 hour from 11 to 12, where we can actually provide wonderful content for you. And, you know, it has to do with leadership, entrepreneurship, mindset, defining and figuring out your purpose, all those things. Unfortunately, we have to cancel this particular July 25th episode, and we apologize for any and all inconveniences. But on the other side, we have some great news. We have a person named Randy Spelling. Many of you guys may know his father, Aaron Spelling, and his sister Tori Spelling. His father was an iconic individual in the entertainment, television industry, movie industry. He's done television shows like The Love Boat, 90210, Melrose Place. God, the list goes on. I can't even think of all of them. Gosh, oh, Charlie's Angels. There you go. There's another one. So this is, you know, to know that you were a child growing up in a family like that, as successful as they were, you know, and their home being as big as the White House. I mean, this guy now is so grounded, so down to earth that on Saturday, July 25th, 2020, he's going to be talking to you about, you know, business and entrepreneurship and mindset. And then, of course, he's bringing a whole bunch of other speakers, me being one of them. And we're going to spend the day training you guys and helping you get to that next level. A lot of you guys are kind of stuck here and you're trying to figure out, how do I get to that next level? You got to come to an event like this, and there's going to be a tremendous opportunity to do some networking and things like that as well. So, but for me, you guys, I just want you to know, I have, you know, on my Think and Grow Rich tour and, you know, my journey in entrepreneurship, I've shared the stage with people like Condoleezza Rice, Barbara Corcoran, one of the sharks on a hit TV show called The Shark Tank. Wow, what an amazing lady. Another very down-to-earth individual who is in the movie Think and Grow Rich. You got to find out her secrets for success. Martin Sheen and I both served as officers of the Manny Pacquiao Foundation, where we provide poverty and we try to provide paradise and poverty and paradise as the nonprofit, and we go out there and try to help children and women all around the world. This is Rob DYRDEK, who is also in the movie Think and Grow Rich. And then this is Stedman Graham. Many of you guys may or may not know Stedman, but you should, because Stedman is another amazing individual. But you may know his other half, and his other half is Oprah Winfrey. And I'm sure everybody knows Oprah. So Stedman actually came out to my house from Chicago, and we sat down and had a great meeting talking about our goals and our intentions with the world tour. He loved every piece of it, everything we're trying to do, the content, the speakers, our logistics. I mean, we had everything down, and he loved it so much he went back and told Oprah about it. And we may be doing some big things with Oprah as well, that we're going to be making some big bombshell announcements, okay? Now, just so you know, you're kind of looking at this picture going, wow, John's pretty tall. Because if you know Stedman, Stedman is, used to be a former basketball player. I think he's like 5'9". And so now you're looking at that and going, yeah, John, you must be pretty tall. I'm actually 5'8", so I guess I'm average, right? Or I'm not sure, below average, but I'm 5'8". But the reason I'm taller than him in this picture is because that is the benefit of folding chairs. And so Stedman absolutely had a chuckle about this particular picture, because he says, man, John, I've never had anybody do that with me before. It's absolutely hilarious. So we had a good time. But anyway, Steve Aoki, everybody knows, you may or may not know Steve, but this is the son of Benihana, the restaurant Benihana. But he did not go into the restaurant business like his dad was in. His brother did, though, but he went into becoming a DJ, is now the #1 paid DJ in the world. So find out what his secret is also in the book Think and Grow Rich. And then, of course, Mario Lopez. I was on his podcast show. We had a great conversation. He liked it so much. The reviews were so good. We went back for a second episode. And then, of course, Mario and I were then hosting some events around the country, doing some, different awards galas. And then last year, you guys, both my wife and I had the tremendous honor of being knighted by the Royal Order of Constantine the Great and St. Helen. And so this is me getting knighted, and this is my wife also getting knighted. And so I'm telling you guys all this because one of the questions we get from people everywhere, even today, I mean, every day we get anywhere between 1 and 10 calls or inquiries about having me to be on someone else's podcast. And the one question we get all the time is, how did it happen? Like, where did it start? And da-da-da-da. How's your time management? We get all these wonderful questions. But I'll tell you what, how this all happened for us, number one, is that we prayed. We prayed like there was no tomorrow, man. We would get down on our knees, we'd hold each other's hands, and we'd pray and pray and pray. And it's interesting that when you pray for things, okay, and you ask for things from your Heavenly Father, your Creator, do you ever wonder that maybe God may be sending you what you're asking for in a different package, right? I mean, you might be asking for a whole lot of money, but I don't know if God's going to send you you know, $1 million in a briefcase to your front door. He may be opening up a new door for you. He might introduce you to somebody, right? But he'll leave you clues for you to find that is going to lead you to what you were praying for, and you just have to look for it, right? Look at this. Don't you love that little picture of that little boy? He's just like so in, you know, his focus, and you can see his concentration and his focus as he's praying. So adorable. But anyway, the other thing too is timing, right? Timing is everything. And for me, everyone, I gotta say, I am not the sharpest knife in the drawer. A lot of times you see successful people and you think, oh my God, they're so smart. They must be brilliant. But you'd be surprised how many successful people aren't that smart. You know, they might, they're not dumb, but they're not like brilliant. They're not like building probes and rockets to go into, you know, outer space. But I'll tell you what, I've got common sense. You know, I'm a pretty logical guy. And when my wife shared this page, this next slide I'm going to show you right here, this is the page that just screamed out at me, and I literally quit my job and started working with my wife. And so here's what's going on. There are about 80 million babies that were born between 1946 and 64. They're referred to as the baby boomers, the baby boomers. So the baby boomers, all of a sudden, were born within 18 years of each other, and all of a sudden, Gerber Food, Johnson & Johnson, the baby industry started doing well. And then from there, another industry, toys, Hasbro, Mattel, they started doing well. Do you think this is just coincidence, or do you think that it's the baby boomer getting a little bit older, and now there's a need for what, you know, as they're getting a little bit older? So now, next thing you know, fast food revolution came. And then cars, all these baby boomers had gone to college, graduated. First thing they wanted to buy out of college, cars. And then after that, technology era. Then after that, real estate, right? This is now the 2000s. Well, folks, let me just tell you, we're now 2020, as you know, and the first baby boomer born in 1946 is now 74 years of age. So what do you think 74-year-olds are thinking about now, okay? It's really, really obvious. It's right here, folks, right here. I'm circling it for you. Retirement. This is it. We're finally here at the right place at the right time. And many people say to me, John, I wished I would have started in the financial industry like you did 20, 30 years ago. But for me, you know, it's just like, I don't know anything about finance, retirement, all that. Folks, it's okay. I'm willing to teach you if you're willing to learn, okay? So I want you to know more now than ever, this business is the best time is to get in now, okay? Now to start a business in the financial service industry. So for me, the reason why I love the financial industry, there's a lot of reasons, which is a whole nother podcast show, but one of them is my mission is my main reason I'm also in here is because I'm a huge advocate about financial literacy. I think it's an absolute necessity. So let me just tell you, in 2012, 37 states required sex education, okay? Now, it's not like I'm anti-sex education. I think our children or the high school kids should know, our young adults should understand and learn about sex education. However, to sit there and see only 4 states, Tennessee, Virginia, Missouri, and Utah, only 4 states required financial education in high school. So look, if our children are old enough and mature enough to understand sex, my opinion is that most people, those sane people, should be financially literate. Now let me show you, in 2015, we added 1 state, which is Alabama. And then in 2020, we added North Carolina and Iowa. Now, so there's some good news and bad news. The good news is we're getting more states. The bad news is that we're growing very slowly. And that's why I get passionate about educating people about money. That's one of the main reasons why I do these podcasts, so I can educate you, right, within the sound of my voice, right? Because our nation is in a time of crisis, and most people who are struggling, just don't understand how money works. So let me just tell you the 6 steps to financial security, the 6 pillars, and here it is. Number 1 is learning how to increase your cash flow, all right? And it's not just increasing more income through active, exchanging time for money, right? We call it active income versus having passive and residual. We want to teach you how to manage your debt. Number 3 is to have an emergency fund. And number 4 is, you know, getting the proper protection. And number 5 is having a long-term savings account. Number 6 is preserving your assets and protecting yourself from lawsuits and frivolous lawsuits and you know, litigation type deals. So I want you to know that every single Thursdays, like day after tomorrow, every Thursdays at 2:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I do product training teaching you all these things, right? So every week there's something new. I've been doing this now since mid-January. And since that time, every single weekend, we've been teaching something different. So join us on Thursdays at 2:00 p.m. Again, take a picture of the registration down below and register, okay? Register. Now this is limited seating, okay? But please register right away. And so I want you to know, you know, when people are sick, where do you go, right? You go to a hospital. And when you go to a hospital, you see a doctor, and the doctor tells you to go and see all these different types of specialists. Well, you know, if you look at a hospital, specifically Kaiser, and Kaiser is very big and popular out here in Southern California. And, you know, as I'm sitting there looking at the organization, how it was created, I was thinking to myself, well, maybe I should create a financial hospital, and that's exactly what we did. So we offer at our organization, we offer lending, any kind of loans. Like some of you right now might need a loan, whether it's an SBA loan or HELOC or any kind of loan. You may need one, and we'd be happy to get you some sort of a loan. Merchant processing. We do merchant processing. We've got property and casualty. We do insurance and retirement, annuities, college planning, investment advisory, I mean, business planning, tax planning, estate planning. We got them all, okay? We do all these different things here. And on Thursdays at 2:00, we hit on each one of these so we can teach you and educate you about money and finance, okay? Now, having said all that, I have invested in a lot of different types of businesses, okay? Just to list a few, you can see some of them here listed. And I still own some of these companies today. And as I'm sitting there investing in a lot of different industries, different businesses, I'm learning their industry. I have to say that being in the financial industry for me has been the most rewarding financially. It's been the most lucrative. It's been the most fulfilling, I think, for me in terms of how I'm helping people around the world, around the country, understanding and embracing financial principles and concepts. And the other thing I love about the financial industry is the fact that we're not only helping people, but we're also making money for our families and our generations to come. Now, when I'm talking about money, I'm all about passive and residual income. In fact, when you read a book, which if you haven't already, again, another great read, is Rich Dad, Poor Dad's Cash Flow Quadrant. And you'll notice down here, it's by Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lechter. And they talked about how most people are programmed to be in this field, to have a job and to be an employee. And some of you that are in this quadrant, you start to get a little courage, or you get a little frustrated, or you just get, you know, just tired of being sick and tired of the rat race, going to work and doing the same thing every day. You finally go into this quadrant, which is where you are self-employed and you own a job. Remember, the top quadrant is where you have a job, and the bottom quadrant is where you own a job, right? Now, when you're looking at these two quadrants, B is the business owner, where you own systems and people work for you. And then down here, you become an investor and then have money work for you. Now, again, the difference is that on this side, the E and S is active management, active. And then on the right side, this is residual income and passive income. So, you know, this is where you guys want to be, folks. If you're going to go and start a business, get in a business where you know that there's residual income there and there's passive income, because if there isn't either one of these, if not both, then you're just exchanging time for money and you're over here on the active side, okay? Now, look, folks, I want you to know that they always say that when the student is ready, the master or teacher will appear. And I'm at a point where my career where I am just out there scouting and looking for talent, people who are hungry, right? Just sick and tired of being sick and tired, where I started a business boot camp. And this business boot camp is called Make That Change. Now that is what this thing is all about. What is that change that we have to make? So every single one of you have to fine tune something. Now what it is what we got to do and figure out. Some of you are not good at sales. Some of you guys are not very good in the leadership role. You're not very effective communicators. Maybe you're not very good at, public speaking, right? Whatever it is, what I want to do is I want to train you, and I'm only looking for about 50 people. Excuse me, we're looking for 50 people, and on August 8th, Saturday, August 8th, from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, probably going to be over more, closer to 5, I'm doing an orientation, okay? No cost, no free. All you got to do is just take a picture of this and go there and register and show up a little bit before 2 o'clock and dial in and listen to what this is all about. I honestly will tell you that I believe it'll be a life-changing experience, life-changing. You're more than welcome to talk to some of my fellow associates who have graduated from this program, and I can tell you that every single one of them have sent me letters, emails, text messages, you name it, telling me how awesome this program is. So again, I'm just looking for 50 of you, not all of you, because I'll say this respectfully, because I've heard one of the best quotes I ever heard was one of my mentors. He actually said to me that, he goes, John, when it's all said and done, more is usually said than done. More is said than done. And so, yeah, talk is cheap. A lot of people talk a big game. A lot of people will offer you, their time. Have you guys ever had someone who said, hey, if you ever need any help, let me know. And then when you call them for help, they're not available, right? A perfect example is when you're moving, right? You ever move your house or apartment and you need to pack up and load the truck, strap it down, go to the other place, unload it, unbox it. But they could have and they didn't, okay? So understand that, during this time of quarantine, let's see here. Can you guys see me now? I got messages saying that I froze. So am I good now? Where are we at? Somebody? My staff? Okay, let me see here. Chats. Okay, we're good. So, all right. Yeah, a bunch of people started texting me and saying, John, you're frozen. Okay, so thanks guys for that. I appreciate that. But look, if you don't come out of this quarantine with a new skill or some new knowledge or a new side hustle or a new business, then you can't use the fact that you don't have any time anymore. That excuse no longer exists, because that's what people always say to me. They go, John, I don't have time. But now you have all the time in the world. Now what it is that you lack discipline, okay? And I say that you lack discipline respectfully. I don't mean to be combative. Those aren't fighting words. It is my opinion, okay, my perspective, that most people don't have discipline to achieve the things that they need, okay? And listen, it's hard for me also. I don't have discipline sometimes, right? I'm trying to get fit. I want to get into shape, so I don't have this big old tire around my belly. So it's hard for me to want to go to the gym and sit there and get on the treadmill and lift weights and all that, right? So I have to hire a trainer. Then the trainer shows up and injects that discipline in me, right? So as I'm having these conversations with all of you, I'm not only having this conversation, for you, but I'm having this conversation for me, because I'm not by in any means saying, hey, look at me, I'm perfect. How much better can I get? You guys, I'm still learning every day. I always want to get better and not be bitter, right? But I know that I need help also when it comes to certain things in terms of having discipline. So I hope that you will give me an opportunity to coach you and mentor you when it comes to business. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it on this day, August 8th, Saturday. Make sure you register. I'm looking for 50 of you right now. And the first 50 people who sign up, we're going to go through a brief interview process, and then we'll go ahead and give you the yay or nay. Okay? All right, now moving on. I want you to know that we've got all the systems in place, and we've got business systems, financial, licensing, personal leadership. We've got it all. Okay? The only thing we don't have is you. Right? And we need you and your burning desire. And if anything I said resonates with you, please get with the person who invited you. Tell them, say, look, I want more details. I'm with John, man. How do I make more money? Right? Number two is, how does money work? I want to learn how to make money with my money. And so I want you to know that I'm going to give my cell phone number at the end. So if you stay to the very end, I'm going to give you guys my cell number. You can also call me directly. All right? But in the meantime, every single week, I want you to know that I bring in certain guest speakers, right? And I bring them in because, you know, they all have content. You know, they all have different perspectives on things. And so I wanted to bring this individual who I've known for, oh gosh, maybe 10, 11 years, maybe. Is it, oh man, is it that long? I don't know. But he's a father of two. Right? Two beautiful children, amazing wife, right? I mean, behind every successful husband or wife, there is another very supportive, loving, you know, giving spouse behind the scenes. But he used to be a former professional athlete. He actually played American football in Europe for 4 years. Every time I go out somewhere, people think he's my bodyguard. I mean, he like towers me, right? And I feel safe with this guy, you know? If somebody wanted to mess with me, I'm like, Mauricio, right? And he would stand there like a big old like log, like a door, you know? But this guy's a tank. But more importantly, on the inside, his tenacity and his temperament, his generosity, as he's here today as a friend. He's been an entrepreneur for over a decade, folks, okay? He's spoken in front of tens of thousands of people all around the United States. Many people are extremely successful because of him. Many families are successful financially and protected because of what this individual has done. He's got offices in 4 states right now, in California, and Georgia, and Florida, and Virginia. And let me just tell you something, he loves burritos, okay? He loves burritos and Coke Zero. So the next time we get together, burritos and Cokes on me, because you know what? I also love burritos. There's nothing like a delicious homemade burrito, and I also like Coke Zero. So he and I have a lot in common, but his vision to go out there and help tens of thousands of people all around the world to fulfill their dreams. Wow, what can I say? I can talk about this guy all day, all night long. Super excited. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands up and welcome my good friend, Mauricio Bowsa. All right.
Thank you, John.
Up, hi. Okay. So,
awesome.
What's up, man? What's up, Mauricio?
Hey, how are you, John? Good to see you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm humbled, really, to be on here with you, and so I appreciate it.
Right on, right on. Well, look, I mean, you're no foreign, you know, you're not new to the speaking world platform. I know you love being on stage and in front of people. And so we want to put the spotlight on you, and I know you've got some content you want to share. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over to you right now. I'm going to mute myself. I'll be sitting right here, and we're going to put the spotlight on you. So Mauricio, why don't you just take it away?
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And everybody, I just want you to know that part of the reason why, you know, my wife and I have been able to do what we've done is because of John Shin and Arlene Shin, the coaching that we've received from both of them. And I think it was the end of last year. Yeah, it was the end of last year. We got a chance. Matter of fact, it was actually around Thanksgiving. We actually ran a contest with some of our, you know, top team players, and they qualified to go to John Shin's house, and we had an opportunity to check stuff out. And I'll tell you guys, I mean, talk about living the dream, and not only that, but knowing how to coach people and bring the best out of people. And so, John, I really do appreciate you, and I love that goatee of yours right now. It's really awesome. I think that's trending right now is facial hair, so I got to work on that. But I appreciate you more than you know, and I congratulate all of you for being on tonight. I know that there's a lot of things you could be doing, or maybe there's not a lot of things you could be doing. I mean, hey, I'm not foreign to what's happening today, and of course, there's so much going on in the world today, and you made it a choice to be here and to grow and to learn and to get better, and that says a lot about you. And I like being around people like that. You know, I myself was one of those people. I got started in business really just because I wanted to learn how to save my money and be better at that. And so I really wanted to just understand it. I'm first generation. My mom is from Brazil. My dad is from Argentina. I didn't grow up knowing anything about this stuff. Like most first generation parents, they told me I had to go to school, get good grades, get a good job, retire in the company pension, you know, and I think a company pension is a thing of yesterday, but I tried to do that. I went to school, got decent grades. I mean, I took ceramics for the wrong reasons. And, you know, I was an okay student, but I really went to school because I wanted to play sports. And so did that, got recruited to go play at a small private school. Then I went out and played professional football in Europe for about 4 years. And I was studying for the law school aptitudes test, and I ran into somebody that really was talking to me about knowing the money business and getting into owning a business, and just speaking to me about certain things that I didn't really think about. And so I was really curious, and I came down to an office, and that kind of set me on my path to wanting to become an entrepreneur and wanted to become a business owner. You know, I remember thinking, if I don't want to be an employee, I got to scratch that off the list, but I better start figuring out what I can do to own a business in an industry where the profit margins are big, and that not only can I get to a certain point, but can I help other people get to a certain point in their lives? And obviously, we've been able to do something. We've been able to do that, and we're so excited about doing that for more. And so I just wanted to, you know, share some ideas with you that hopefully can help you. You know, I think that, you know, with growing a business, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about how to be tough. You learn a lot about resilience. You learn a lot of different things. And more importantly, you learn about yourself. And, you know, no matter what business you're in or what industry you decide to become a part of, you know, mine just so happens to be in financial services, you know, whatever that industry is, you know, I find that you got to become, you know, a self-development nut. Right? You got to start learning about certain things that you maybe never even thought about. I remember in high school, they taught me about the Pythagorean theorem. I don't think I've ever used that in my life. But I started to understand, you know, what it was like to be in business, not through listening to some business professor, but through actually learning from people like John Shin. And so some of the things that I'm going to share with you are things you maybe already heard, but maybe because it's coming from me, maybe it'll sound different. Or maybe you haven't. Maybe this will be the first time you've heard some of the things that I'll share with you tonight. But hopefully these things can help you in your endeavor to start a business, own a business, or just take control of your life right now. I know more than ever, you know, I'm sure you all can agree with me when I say that people are dissatisfied. They're looking for something else. They understand that multiple streams of income is not so much a luxury, but now it's a necessity, and they're starting to look for different things. And so obviously business ownership, not having somebody thumb over you, you calling the shots, not getting fired or let go. As I look at the numbers today, it's just crazy on how many companies are shutting down, filing bankruptcy, letting people go. And so, you know, hopefully you can grab onto some of these things. Questions I want to ask you as we get started is, number one, what was your vision? You know, if you were to say today, Mauricio, I went to school, get good grades, get a good job. I wanted to get a good job. Was it really because you wanted to find a job, or was it really because you were getting into something that you loved to do versus because you needed to do to get a paycheck or make money that you thought was decent? I find most people get into a job because they're trying to make a check that's maybe a little bit above what they were making at a previous job. They're not really getting into things that they love to do or things that they've envisioned themselves doing. Now, let me just say this right out the gate. I thought I was going to play sports. I thought I was going to do that as a profession. And I did do that. I didn't make millions doing it. I'm not a Marshall Falk by any means. I didn't make it to the NFL. I played in Europe, but I did make some good money. I mean, I got to do it for a longer period of time than most. But I thought I was going to do it professionally, like in the NFL, and that didn't happen, right? So that didn't happen, but I wanted to get into business, and I knew I wanted to help people. I thought perhaps I could be a coach, but then I found, again, I knew I wanted to help people, and I knew I wanted to make a lot of money, right? And so in the beginning, I remember people telling me this, Mauricio, it's all about the money. And I remember then I was a 24, 25-year-old kid who knew nothing about nothing. And I remember thinking, you can't convince me it's not about the money. You know, I grew up in Palmdale, California, and I remember that, you know, being first generation, money determined where we went to school, where we lived, the clothes we wore, the shoes we wore. You know, I remember people would ask me what kind of shoes I was wearing. I would say Nikes, right? And they weren't Nikes, they were something else. But I just remember money determined a lot of different things, but I had to get past the money, you know? And so when I found this business, the business I'm in right now, I found that it was the people part of it that I love, the helping people part of it, and the fact that I could make a ton of money doing it. So what was the vision of maybe the business that you wanted to get into, or the type of job that you wanted to get into, if that's really been, if you've done that yet? After that first little vision got accomplished, like maybe you wanted to pay off a credit card or do something like that, you know, for some people, they get into a business to pay off something and make an extra $1,000 or make an extra $20,000 if they are doing it part-time, or maybe to do something on the side, if you will. I want you to think about it this way. I want you to go revisit your dreams again. You know, I think about it when I was a kid, I was dreaming a ton. Again, I think that's why, I know that's why I wanted to get into sports, because I was dreaming about making a ton of money and kind of being on TV, and, you know, kind of the prestige of being an athlete, all that stuff. And I knew that I was dreaming as a kid. And what I found is the older I got, I was talking to people and I felt like the dream just left them. So I want you to revisit and go back and revisit your dreams again, and start writing down, you know, what you want to be remembered for. What are some of the things you want to be remembered for? You know, Bruce Lee died on the 20th of July, you know, and that's today, or yesterday rather. Yesterday he died, right? He passed away. In 19 something rather. I just know that July 20th is when he passed away. And so, but one of the things that I remember, he would say that a life, and I'm not quoting it directly, but a life worth living is how do people remember you? Will you be remembered? And so start writing down the things you want to be remembered for. And is your goal to change the world, or is your goal to enjoy the world? You know, and I think that's another question you should ask is, do I want to change the world, or do I want to enjoy the world? If there's an option C, of course, that would be both, I would imagine, for some of you, right? For some of you, it's like, I just want to change the world. I want to be a world changer, you know, and if money comes, that's great. And there's some people that are just motivated by that. So I want to tell you that if you start there, you will definitely be in a place where, you know, that you just get all the nonsense out of the way, and then you start working. And the bigger picture is what propels you. You know, they say that, if you find something that you love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. You know, and I want people to know that you can do that and not just do something because you want to make a paycheck. And so once you become a business owner, some of the things that I found that have helped me is that I remember as soon as I became a business owner, I wasn't self-employed, because in the beginning I was self-employed. And then I started to have teammates and people that were working with me. And I remember thinking that I was turning into this manager, and I wasn't really focused on being a good example anymore. In other words, the things that it took for me to become a business owner were the things that I wasn't doing, and I started to manage. And that stopped the business. And what not stopped the business, it slowed the business down. And what I found was the times that I was kicking butt and taking names, in other words, I was leading from the front, was when everybody else was running with me, right? So leadership is not somebody that sits in the back and watches people do stuff. That's how they do it kind of in a corporate structure. But real leadership is somebody that leads from the front, a do-it-first leader. So stay out of the management trap. and go lead is something that I want you guys to think about. And so your personal development is probably the reason why you've plateaued. In other words, the lack of personal development is usually the reason why people plateau. And so, you know, I just want to say that because even though, as I mentioned, leading from the front, you can get caught up in work, you can get caught up in, you know, doing a lot of different stuff. But then what happens is your self-development takes a back seat. And that's the reason why usually people plateau, is because they're not self-developing, they're not staying cutting edge, they're not sharpening the iron, if you will. And that's something that you got to keep going. So your personal development curve has to be up for your growth to go up. If you want to build a big business, you got to think to yourself, if I want to attract, you know, if 1 to 10, 10 being a very successful business, or having 1 to 10 being successful clients or big clients, if you're going to attract a 10 in terms of the size of your business, and have a business that's a 10, and or attract people into your business, or even clients that are maybe bigger ticket clients or what have you, then you got to start thinking, am I a 10 myself to be able to attract those things into my life? You know, I always tell people that the law of attraction, I believe in it. I believe in the law of attraction, obviously, in Think and Grow Rich. You read about the law of attraction and so on. But I also know that there's the law of Goya. I don't know how many of you have learned of the law of Goya, not the canned beans Goya, but the law of Goya, Goya. So the law of Goya, there's the law of attraction, then there's the law of Goya. The law of Goya is the law of get off your ass. And what I find is a lot of people just think that they can think themselves into success. But again, you got to self-develop, you got to lead from the front, and these are some of the things that I think have helped me. So another thing is, because we live in an age where social media and all that stuff, I mean, even right now, when I said get off your ass, some people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he said ass. And maybe some people are fired up and excited and laughed and what have you. But I'll tell you what I found is that sometimes you can do all the right things. You can try to be universally appealing, but sometimes, you know, you might rub somebody the wrong way. So even though you're doing your best, and again, this is all about self-development right now, is the stuff I'm giving you. And again, hopefully you can apply this to your life and in your business. But what I found is that sometimes your reputation is really not in your hands. You know, it's usually in the hands of other people because of how they envision or see you or view you. But here's one thing that is in your hands. It's your character. Your character, you have control over. Nobody else can control that. And so I want you to know that, again, even though you're maybe doing the right things and moving forward and, you know, really trying to get things going, I know that for some people, even myself, some of the things that slow me down on social media is kind of the thought of, am I going to offend certain people? Or if I say this, will some people take it wrong? And basically just kind of slowing me down, because I also know that it's me overthinking that is the reason why I'm maybe not acting and moving forward on social media. But again, going back to even me reading this right now, they say whatever flows through you, stick to you. So I know I got to read this for me, is that I can't really control how people think about me. And what they think about me, by the way, is none of my business. By the way, on another note, what people think about me is none of my business. And I want you to know that what people think about you is none of your business. By the way, they're too busy worrying about what you think about them, just so you know. And so you can't really control your reputation, but you control your character. Right? So how do you see you? Right? So if you see you, look, how you see you will either hold you back or propel you. And hopefully the way you see you is propelling you. And again, that helps with what? Attracting the right people, because you got to believe in you. You got to believe in you again. You got to believe in you once more. You know, this might be a blessing in disguise right now, where most people are, you know, maybe sitting back and collecting a check. You're on here tonight. And I don't even know right now, there's some people that probably even clicked it off and said, I don't even know what this guy's talking about. I'm going to click off, you know, and I'm just going to get back into watching whatever movie or TV show or what have you. But you're still here. And that says a lot about you. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise in that you're going to take this time, you know, to upgrade, right? It's almost like Mauricio 5.0, right? It's like we got to upgrade, because you're either going to come out of quarantine, right? With new new habits, right? New abilities, right? Just a new you, or you maybe went backwards. And hopefully it's not the latter. You don't go backwards. You actually come out of quarantine, bigger and badder, and just more happening for you. Matter of fact, just to kind of just to go into like, maybe this is a blessing in disguise. There's a gentleman that I was reading about that has a plastic business, or like, anyway, he does stuff with plastics, right? And he used to make about $250,000 a year in just net income from his business. And now, because of quarantine, right, he's making millions, right? Just in the last 6 months, he's already in sales, right? He's already done over $4 million in sales. And it's really because, like those shields that people have in front, like at the Starbucks or what have you, right? They got those little shields to protect them, and in between you and them. He's making all that money just on those plastics, right? So again, it's either taking this opportunity, the time that we're in, to grow and get better, right? And I mean, there's certain industries that are maybe growing at a time like right now. I mean, Zoom is growing during a time like we're in right now. But are you growing? Are you growing? Are you getting better? If you had to, if you thought of yourself as a business, are you getting better? Are you growing in a time like we're in right now? I hope you are. I hope that answer is yes. So listen, I want you to know that a lot of the people that win in business, what I found is they believe that they deserve to win. They believe that they deserve to be at the top, whatever the top is, in their industry or their business. They deserved it. That they believed it. And so it starts with you believing in you. So I want you to think about it. You got to increase your identity, right? So again, a lot of the stuff that I'm talking to you about today are things that I've learned from perhaps, reading John Shin's book, by the way, How Rich Asians Think. Even though I'm not Asian, you can get a lot of stuff from that. But a lot of it is modeling. A lot of it's modeling. And I mean, just think about it. If you don't think this is true, just think about it. You ever remember when you were a kid, your parents used to say, "Hey, I don't like you hanging out with so-and-so," because they started to maybe see you acting like so-and-so, right? Little Billy down the street. They started to see you acting, saying things, talking like little Billy, right? Maybe it wasn't the most positive things. Maybe it was, every other word was a 4-letter word or whatever it might be. And what do they want you to do? They wanted you to stop hanging around little Billy. Because what was happening is you started to model little Billy, even though you didn't know it, right? You didn't really think about it. You were starting to model the people you were hanging around. And so one of the things that I know you have to do if you want to increase your identity is start thinking about the people you hang around. And if I asked you to, call out the 5 people or name the 5 people that you hang around, do you feel like they're either increasing or helping you increase your identity, supporting your thought process and, getting bigger and better, making more, doing more, becoming more, or are they bringing you down, right? Is every other conversation you have with them a negative conversation? Is it weighing you down? Is it kind of more work to be in a conversation with them than it is about growth and development? In other words, is it work to kind of stay there mentally? Is it draining you? So modeling, and hopefully you're one people are looking to model after. And so stop hanging around with your peer group and start thinking about how can you level up? I mean, being on this call, you're hanging out with somebody like John Shin, and that right there, the association tonight of being around someone like John Shin is enough. There's more to it. It's not going to happen in just a night, right? Being here at 6:30 and, staying until the end of this thing, whatever time that is, we're going to go until midnight. I don't know if you guys know that. I'm joking. But the thing is your associations are key. So think about that. You don't want to think about living your life as this person or that person, that is maybe bringing you down. You want to start thinking about living your life like some of the heroes that you look at. I mean, and if you think about the heroes that you look up to, right? Maybe it doesn't always have to be in business. Maybe they can be in church or spiritual or family, what have you. Just think about that. What are some of the things, the reasons why you look up to them, or what are some of the things that you want to take from them? And you should start hanging around them, and you start hanging around people like them. So even though, this is a more of a business conversation, but you got to be thinking about the things that or maybe it's not about a business conversation, it's about having the life that you want, but you need to start thinking about your goals, not just in business, but in life. And for when you become an entrepreneur, when you become a business owner, you got to know that your goals become your boss, right? So you better answer to your goals. And I remember thinking this, you know, is what I'm doing right now helping me grow, or is it holding me back? In other words, if John Shin was standing here right now looking at me, would he sit there and say, this guy is hard at work, making things happen, growing his business, working on his business? Or is this guy wasting time? Or is this person just kind of, you know, is Mauricio just sitting here, just kind of letting it wither away? You know, and I hope that, you know, everything I do, you know, John would sit there and say, that's a guy that's focused on his goals, growing. I can see this guy doing the things he needs to do in order to get to where he wants to be, and getting to a level where I'm at, or even beyond that. And so you got to commit to your goals. Your goals got to be your boss. And so does your vision. You know, your vision has to be your boss. You got to commit your daily activity to your goals. You know, if I asked you today, you know, what are some of your goals? And if you listed them out to me, you know, what's interesting is, in my business, there's a lot of people, a lot of associates that can tell me what I need to do in order to get to where I want to go. If I said, hey, listen, I want to hit, you know, a promotion in my business, you know, a lot of people can tell me, this is what you got to do. You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to get this, you got to get that, they can tell me, they can rattle it off. And the thing is that a lot of people are good at that. They're good at just giving you the things that you need to do, but they're not good at doing it themselves. You following me? You know, and so even though, again, you might already have the stuff you need to grow within you, sometimes you need external things. Like, again, I heard John say coaching with John Shin, the great John Shin. Sometimes you need somebody, a coach. By the way, who doesn't need a coach? And what I found, by the way, is most people need a coach. You know what? Most people want a mentor, because mentors just kind of tell you things that you should be doing. But you want to know what a coach does? A coach tells you things you don't want to really hear. A coach will tell you stuff that'll help you grow. And sometimes it's a little painful, but you know what they say? They say that the muscle grows with what? With resistance and going through it, going through pain, sweating, all that stuff. Planes take off against the wind, guys, right? So I just want you to know that you need a coach, and your coach should always be someone that you look up to and say, I want to be where that person is. Again, you can have multiple coaches, one for business, one for spiritual, whatever, right? You got to think about it. And again, in Think and Grow Rich, it's about having a mastermind alliance, is what it's called. So you got to commit to your daily activity and your goals. And if I asked you, are your activities in alignment? In other words, if you want to make $1 million a year, are you doing the things you need to do on a daily basis to get to a point where you're making $1 million a year? Or are you just doing the things, you know, to make a $50,000 a year income or $60,000 a year in income? So in my business, it's about the number of calls, appointments booked, right? And so on, business and so on, right? So how much business is being written and so on. So I want you to know that there are some things in business that you got to do yourself, especially when you have a lot of teammates or people that are working with you, right? There are some things you got to do. You cannot delegate to other people. You got to do those things yourself. And again, this is something that I know that I've, fall victim of, is I start delegating things that I should be taking control of. And even the things you do delegate, you got to keep an eye on it to make sure that it's getting done. But I'll tell you what, guys, a lot of the times people want to avoid doing the work. You know, and I heard somebody call it the dirty, right? The stuff that most people don't want to do, they want to delegate that stuff to someone else. But I'll tell you what, again, a true leader does the stuff that they want their teammates to do, or the people that they are coaching or mentoring to do as well. I was talking to John Shin last night, matter of fact, we were talking about some successful people in business. And one of the things that he was saying is like, you know what I found is like a lot of the people that are successful just sit back and, just collect. And he's like, some of those people are out of touch. They don't even know what they would need to do today if they wanted to get back into, that business. In other words, if they were to start from scratch, maybe they could, figure something out, but they would be in some old models and so on. And they're not paying attention to innovation. And that's why their business is a plateau, but to a point where they're comfortable. And then they're going to get eaten up. Like, you kind of look at it like a Barnes and Noble didn't even think an Amazon was going to come around, and rip them apart. And now we know what the end of that story is. And so, look, the reason why most people, by the way, we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon, I'm sure. And John, you can let me know. So whenever you say, I want to say something to you for what it's worth. Whenever you say you can't do something, you have to switch it to, how can I figure it out? How can I figure it out? How can I figure out the things that I need to do? And so I remember somebody told me this. He said, Mauricio, when you fail, which in business, you know, you can have ups and downs, you can surge, you can plateau, whatever it might be. And when you fail, do you think of it as a learning experience, or do you get down on yourself? And so I had to think about that, because I don't know if I thought of those things as learning experiences as much as I thought of it as what, getting down on myself, and I didn't do the things, and I started to look at it in a not so pleasant way. But the moment I shifted the way I thought about it, and I said, you know what, I either win or I learn. And when I started to think about it like that, man, things just started to turn around. My mental toughness got better and stronger and so on. And I stopped worrying about some of the things that, you know, maybe didn't happen right there in that moment. And I started to learn. And of course, the challenge is some people, you know, they will fail in a certain area and they don't learn, they don't get better in that certain area. So what happens is they keep on failing in that area. Like, take my business, for example. If somebody says, Mauricio, I want to get better at making a transaction happen with a client. They're sitting across the kitchen table with a client, or maybe right now it's via Zoom. And there's certain things that maybe call them mini closes that they would have to do throughout the process in order for that transaction to happen. And maybe one or two sales, you know, happened and they didn't really get the sale that they were looking to get. In other words, it didn't happen. They didn't get the sale. In the sales process, they missed the sale. And so what I mean by that is if they were to take a step back and think about what are some of the things that I could have done differently, or maybe some of the things I shouldn't have said, or maybe some of the things I should have said, what should I have taken away, that I talked them out of it, right? That I give them too much. If they didn't learn from that process, more likely they're going to do what? They're going to do it again, and they might not hit that transaction another time. So if you want to get, so this is for some of you that want to get into bigger and better markets, for some of you that want to attract certain people. So if you want to think about it, so how do you explode your business and upgrade the people that you're talking to? How do you think that is? I mean, how would you think that you would explode your business and upgrade the people that you're talking to? And one of the things that I found is that when I started to work with and bring on board motivated people, things started to change. In other words, when I stopped having to motivate people, right, things started to change when I was bringing on board motivated people. And so some of the things that helped me change were going to big events. I talked about associations and the books I read, right? So the books I read, the meetings I attend, and the people that I associate myself with are the things that made all the difference. And of course, self-development in certain areas, like listening to podcasts. And by the way, I don't know how many of you have actually seen the movie Think, right? So that movie is amazing. I was watching it not too long ago. I ordered it. And I remember it was at my house. I was sitting there. My wife was upstairs. She had watched it before I was at the office. She said the kids were down and she was watching it. But this time I was watching it. Guys, I wrote so much, and I read the book Think and Grow Rich, but I remember writing so many notes from all the different speakers that were in that book that I remember thinking, man, these are some people that I'd love to have in my business. But how could I attract those types of people? And so the reason why most people aren't able to, again, attract those types of people, because they're not what? They're not leveling themselves up. They're not upgrading their value. And some of the times the reason why people don't want to, talk to people like that and be around people like that, not that they don't want to be around them, but they feel like they can't be around them, or they don't even know how to start the conversation, is because they feel like their identity isn't there yet, right? They feel like they're high identity people. And so from their perspective, right? So one of the things that I wanted to do was think about what are some of the things and areas that, or reasons why we see them as high identity. And the three reasons I saw were business and finance, family, church and charity. Right. And so again, what I started to do is say, I got to level up in my business and finance. I got to level up again in family, and I got to level up in church and charity. And these are things that I wanted to level up in anyway. And so these are things that help me start to recruit or bring on board motivated people and be around motivated people and start to be able to work with motivated people that were intrinsically motivated. And that helped me, again, develop and get better myself, and also help train other people, as well. So again, if you were to have a call with the John Shin, with the great John Shin, I'm finishing right now. These are some of the questions that I think that you should ask someone like John Shin. Number one is, what are some of the greatest adversities, right? Number two is, did you struggle in your early years, and how did you get through that, right? Number three is, how did you recruit and retain key personnel? Number four is, what was your vision on how to build your business and how you were going to get to a certain part in business or an income and so on? What was your vision? How did you develop that vision? Your how-to vision, if you will. And then number five is, how do you get through a funk? These are some questions that I would ask someone like the John Shin. And I think that these would help you, grow in any endeavor. And so I hope these things help you. I was all over the place. I had like 5 hours of content that I was trying to get in to about 10 to 15 minutes. And so, John, I appreciate you more than you know. And I thank you so much for the opportunity. I don't know if maybe you wanted me to do anything else, or, if we're done here. So.
All right. Here we go. Come on, guys. Let's give Mauricio a big round of applause, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Oh, man. Good stuff, Mauricio. I hope you guys listen to all the things that Mauricio was talking about, because if you listen in between every word, every line, there was a lot of like deep, profound stuff that he was referring to. And some of that stuff may have flew through your head because you're just not ready yet, because you haven't experienced something or whatever. But I hope you took great notes, because all that stuff that he was telling you is the stuff that will be very pertinent to your business down the road, right? So if you're a young entrepreneur right now, it's probably not going to be relevant. But as you start to grow and mature in business, all business, not just a particular bit, they say that when you become a good salesperson, that you can pretty much sell anything, right? It doesn't matter if you take a pen or a pencil or a water bottle or a pair of shoes, you could sell it, right? Because you're just good at sales. You've learned the sales techniques. And it's the same thing in business. Once you understand business, the key to all business, the key, you guys, to business, let me just tell you what it is. It's distribution. That's it. The key to business, look, you can have the best products on the face of this planet, but if you have not mastered distribution, then you're not going to make any money. So you've got to figure out distribution. And that is something that we have figured out. And so I want to let you guys know that we want to focus on distribution, growing. And right now we're growing. In fact, I have a few things I want to go. Well, let's do this. Let's do like 5 minutes of Q&A, and then I've got a few more things I want to share with you guys real quick. So those of you that have some questions for Mauricio, come on now, give him some hard questions. Don't give him anything easy, guys. So give me some hard questions that we can ask Mauricio right now. In the little chat box down below, I want you to think of a question, and let's ask Mauricio. So as you guys are typing those in right now, let me just real quickly, where did my PowerPoint go? Oh my. Let's see here. Sorry guys, I don't know what happened. I had it open here just a second ago, and my PowerPoint disappeared. All right, here we go. Let me
I see a question here.
Oh, do you?
I do.
All right, let's see what that question is. Hold on one second. We're going to read it out loud for everyone. Question number 1. Oh, how come I can't see it? Oh, here, Q&A, because I'm in the chat. Duh. All right, everyone, here we go. Can he answer the question about how he keeps and retains people?
Good question. Well, John, I mean, So I find that our model is actually built for that. You know, I found that in our industry, one of the challenges is that people get into our business and they find out that, you know, there's an opportunity, you know, to maybe go get a bigger contract, if you will, whatever it might be. One of the things that I found that is helping us retain a lot of people is the fact that people can actually get the same contract that we have, and it doesn't hold them back, and it doesn't actually take away from us. So we can actually continue to build people in our industry and our business with our model and have a big, huge distribution. If we can show them, or when we show them, how they can basically do what we are doing and be able to build people just like we do. And so I find that when we can show people like, hey, you can get what we got, that's a way to retain them.
Okay. Next one is, what is your favorite way to describe your business to prospects? Like, what do you tell them when you approach them?
It's a good question. So I let them know that on, you know, so, well, let me ask you guys a question. I mean, if we're just talking about my business, right? So my business is, on one hand, we have a financial services business where we help people get from here to here. In other words, they're here, they want to be here. We help them bridge the gap financially. They want to get out of debt, send their son or daughter to school, do stuff like that. We have a financial services business. And then on the other hand, we have people that we bring on board, that we apprentice and show them how, we teach them and coach them and train them to build an agency within financial services. So that's the best way I can describe it. Is, on one hand, I have a financial services business that I help with, you know, business owners and clients that have to do with insurance and financial products. And on the other hand, I have a business of coaching, teaching, and showing people how to build a financial services company within our industry.
All right. Hey, real quickly, Mauricio, a bunch of people here just texted me and said, can Mauricio go over those questions to ask again? I couldn't write that fast. That's what they said.
Oh, okay, sure. So these are some of the questions that I would, let me go back to that. So these are some questions that I remember thinking about when I used to hang around John. Not used to, I still do. Okay, what was, well, let me ask you, John, what was your, well, I don't know if you want to answer them right now. But first question was, what was your greatest adversity? Second was, did you struggle in your early years, and how did you get through that? Number 3 is, how do you recruit and retain key personnel? Number 4 is, how did you develop a vision of what you wanted your business to look like and what kind of, you know, business you wanted to have? And then number 5 is, how do you get through a funk?
Good. So you know what I might do? I might just answer those questions next week on Tuesday, everyone. Okay. All right, cool. Now, next question, it says here, what are some things that you do currently daily for personal development at this stage of your business?
Awesome. So what I do is, I have a routine in the morning. So I wake up and I don't look at my phone, which is, I know what most people do when they wake up. They turn over, they grab their phone, and when they look at it, sometimes it's a prospect, a teammate, they look at emails right away. So what that does is that puts them into a panic mode, or they start going on fiery emails, and it just takes them out of a planned day. So now they're reacting versus acting on their day. And so I leave my phone far away from me, from my nightstand. So when I get up, one of the things I do is I do gratitude, visualization. In other words, I say in my mind, sometimes if my wife's still sleeping, you know, I'll say to my mind, or if she's gone and she's off the bed, then I'll say it out loud, the things I'm grateful for. And then I visualize what I want my life to look like. I visualize me speaking in front of 50,000 people. You know, I visualize me walking across, a stage and receiving accolades and stuff like that. I visualize me having, offices all throughout the United States and Canada. I go through a visualization. And then what I do is I go to my closet where my business plan is, so I can close the door of my closet, have a light on in there and all that. And then what I do is I actually read my business plan out loud. And I got to do it with emotion, because in Think and Grow Rich, it says, if you repeat the famous phrase, the famous Emile Coué phase, day by day in every way, I'm getting better and better, without any emotion, it won't do you any well, it won't do you any good. However, if you say it with emotion, it actually starts to penetrate the subconscious mind. And so I remember reading that. And so that was something that, and everybody, especially you, John, you would tell me all the time, Mauricio, do you read your goals twice a day? Once when you wake up and once before you retire. Do you do it twice a day? And I remember saying yes, but it wasn't all the time. And so when I started to make it repetitious, that's when things started to take off. But I also remember I did that for a very long period of time, and then I stopped doing that, and then I saw a decline in business. I saw a lull happen. And so again, it's because I got to a point where I thought things were good, but I stopped doing the things that got me there.
That's right.
And so anyway, it's just, I hope that helps it. So that's my routine, amongst other things. I don't eat until 1 o'clock, until after 1 o'clock. I've never been a breakfast guy, but I found that, I guess that's kind of a thing now, intermittent fasting. I didn't even know there was a name for it, but I never even, I don't know. I brush my teeth and I get in my car and I go and I just start acting on my day, not reacting to my day. I act on my day.
That's another podcast, everybody. Intermittent fasting. It's pretty amazing what happens to your metabolism with that. Okay, let's do just one more question here. Actually, it says here, what are the 3 books you would recommend to read for personal self-help?
Well, I don't know how many of you got How Rich Asians Think, but that's a good one, right? So I would get that. I Think and Grow Rich book. I would get that one. And then I don't know how many of you have read The Outliers. That's a good book. And then one book that I remember reading when I first got started in my business was Dare to Dream, Work to Win by Dr. Tom Barrett.
Yeah.
And that book was really good.
Okay. Ooh, this one's so good. By the way, somebody said, did you say the movie Think? Yes, you guys. You said Think. The movie that we made is called Think, and then it says, and Grow Rich, but it's Think. So it's the same thing, just so you guys all know. All right. This one's good, and then we'll stop the questions, and I've got a few slides I'm going to share with you guys here, because I like this one. It says, what similarity and or differences have you found exist in sporting and the business model?
Well, a lot of similarities. I don't know how many of you are competitive, and I think there's a difference between being competitive and combative. So I found that, in sports, sportsmanship is a real thing. Competing with someone or with a team or not against a team. So, there's a lot of different things. But discipline, I remember thinking, how could my coach get me to do things my English teacher couldn't get me to do? And I found that it was really because, the coach was there with me doing things and wasn't bossing me around. And so, like with business, when you have a mentor or a coach, these are the things that will help bring the best out of you. And so I find that there's a lot of similarities in business. I just mentioned a couple of them, but we can go on and on, where in most sports, even though there's a team aspect to it, like basketball and football, I think baseball is more of an individual sport, although again, they play on a team, but things like baseball and like basketball and football, for example, where everybody has to kind of work together at the same time, kind of a thing. You still have to get better. You have to get better to add to the team and just not to be a part of the team, but to actually to add to the team. And so I know that in business, like if I want to have the people around me grow, I have to grow. And so yeah, hopefully those things, but there's more to it, I'm sure. I'm just hitting a few of them.
That was so good right there, Mauricio, because you know, when you're on a team, like you're at a professional level, you're like, oh, I'm already pro, I'm good. But you get to the professional level and you want to get better even at the professional level, right? Where you're like, how can I get better and help contribute to the team so we can become a championship team? Right. And so that's my question to all of you guys, right? What can you guys do better? What can you improve, right? Is it your phone skills? Is it your approach and contact? Is it your closing? Is it your, what is it? And that is what we've got to change it, make that change. And so you guys, I'm going to bring up my PowerPoint here, and I have no idea why it just keeps on dying out on me like this. But you guys, Mauricio, real quickly, if somebody wants to follow you, which they all should, on Instagram, what is your Instagram handle so people can follow you and get more content?
Sure, it's my first and last name, so Mauricio Bowsa. You just type that in, Mauricio Bowsa, and that's it. That'll get you to my Instagram.
Perfect. All right, everyone, do me a quick favor. Mauricio, you're more than welcome to stay, but I know you're a busy man. You got things that you want to do. But let's give it up, everyone, for Mauricio Bowsa. Man, appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Say hello to the wife. Big hugs to her from all of us.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it, buddy. We'll see you later. Okay, bye. All right, well, guys, there's Mauricio Bowsa right here. We're talking about that. So the question is this. We talked about this earlier, okay? Where do you want to be? Do you want residual and passive income, or do you want active income? Because if you want residual and passive income, you got to start a business, folks. Now is the time, not later, not next year. There's no better time than now. And let me just tell you something. For us, when people, you know, I'm reluctant to call or even say it out loud, you know, but I have nothing to hide. I'm so excited about this. You know, look, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical doctor, right? I can't go out there and help patients right now, okay? I'm not a scientist. I can't come up for the cure for COVID-19. If I could, I would, okay? I only know what I'm good at. And so during a time of pandemic and crisis, I'm not gonna sit on a couch in a fetal position, sucking on my thumb and watching the news and going, oh, the world's going to hell. There is one thing I can do that's within my power, within my skill set, is I can help people make money. And I think that's important. So I want you to know right now it's hunting season, right? Hunting season's open. Many people right now are currently getting furloughed. They're getting terminated. And then those that are furloughed are saying, whether it's temporary or, you know, indefinitely, they don't even want to go back to work. So right now, all these people, they should be rolling over their 401k into an IRA. Rollover. We're in the rollover to IRA season right now. And I've never seen so many rollovers going on. And so we move money, and if you join me on Thursday, I'm going to show you where we're moving their money into. What is that IRA? And I'll train you and teach you all about that. But let me just tell you something. The compensation of moving people's money from 401k money into IRA money right now, folks, is this. The average account we do right now is about $200,000 that somebody has in a 401k. When they get laid off or they quit because they don't want to go back, furloughed, whatever, they can roll it over into an IRA. Our compensation is 6% on that, which is $12,000, okay? And then guess what? You right now, when the sound of my voice, you're gonna make somewhere between 25 and 75%. Let's say you average 50%, give or take, okay? You make $6,000. $6,000 for each one of those, okay? Now imagine if I properly coached you, properly mentored you, gave you the scripts, and you went out there and you saw 10 clients a month. Folks, you're making $60,000 a month. This is not a hoax. This is not an exaggeration. You're making $60,000 a month. I mean, now the hands are going up. This is it, folks. I don't know what else I could do to help you. I can't help you with your plumbing. I can't help you with your landscape. I can't help you with your cabinets and your bathroom remodeling. Okay, I can refer you to somebody, but folks, I want to show you how to make some real money, right? And now guess what? You multiply that by 12 months, $720,000 a year. Tell me something. You may not love this business right now because you don't even know it. You got to give it a chance. You got to give it a shot. It's like so many people, you go to another restaurant, right? Like an Indian restaurant or Thai or Korean or Japanese, and you're like, ooh, what is that? I've never had that before. Ooh, I don't like the texture. Ooh, what is that? And next thing you know, you try it and you're like, oh my God, now you're hooked, right? You're hooked on whatever that food is. And then you go back by yourself secretly, right? Because you've just acquired something new that you never even thought you would enjoy. How would you know that this industry, that this business is not for you when you haven't even given it a try? So I want you to at least explore this, okay, a little bit more. And I want you to get with the person who invited you. I want you to go and find out, how can I make more money? I just showed you that right now. Number two, how does money work? How do I get my money to make money for me? That's another thing. And I'm going to talk to you about that more in detail on Thursday. And finally, folks, if you want to get a hold of me, man, I'm not sitting on some high horse and act like, that I'm unreachable, okay? I want you to know that I give my cell phone number out. People are like, are you crazy? John, look at all these people, and you're giving out your cell phone to them? You're out of your mind. Yeah, you know why? Because even if I give my cell phone numbers out, most people don't have the burning desire to go and associate with the right kinds of people that can open up new doors for them. And so I put my number here. Hey, if you want to call me, please do. If you got a good joke, send me that too by text, okay? But I want to I'm looking right now for 50 of you to get into this event with me right here on August 8th, 2 to 6 o'clock. I want to know which one do me a favor. Who's the first 50 hands going up right now? I'm just looking for 50 of you. You're saying, all right, John, this is it. This is my moment. I'm tired of being broke. I'm tired of being sick and tired of getting laid off, furloughed, right? I went and dedicated 25, 30 years of my life to some corporation, and they just laid me off, right? Well, that was really nice of them. But hey, what are they going to do? They got no choice. They're not making money, so they got to let you go, right? So if you're one of those people, join me here on August 8th. And if you're not one of those people, you're not serious, then hey, all due respect, with all due respect, we'll just be friends. We'll go have a burger, In-N-Out, double, right? Grilled onions, animal style, it's the only way, right? But I look, if you're not serious, I'm not serious either. I don't want to go and waste my time. And I've got about, I don't know, maybe another good 10 years before I go, take a few steps back. But right now, I'm looking for 50 of you that are dead serious about conquering your life, okay? It's about flipping time, all right? And so here, I want you to go and watch this movie with me on August 7th, all right? It's free, for crying out loud. I don't know what else to do. Like I had somebody just told me, right? They called me from the Midwest the other day, and they said, oh, I'm broke. Can I borrow some money? And I'm like, are you kidding me? No, I'm not a bank. Do I look like a bank of Shin? I'm not a bank. Okay, but I'll tell you what, I'll teach you how to make money. Well, what is it? And I'm like, well, how about the financial service industry? No. And I'm like, okay, so you're dead broke, but you can actually have the audacity to borrow money from people, but you don't want to go to work and do the dirty like Mauricio just talked about, right? So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the serious people. And if you're not serious, then don't come to my boot camp, all right? But if you are, come and join us here. If you don't have time to do the boot camp, go work with Randy Scully. He's a good friend of mine. He's going to help you, teach you to think about what you're thinking about, right? What's going on up here? What's holding you back? Something is, there's some reservation, and it's the way you're programmed. So we got to work on your mind and reprogram the way y'all think, okay? And then, of course, next Tuesday, don't miss this fabulous couple, Dina and Elon Michael, is going to come in here and show you guys how they work together as a couple. All right. So other than that, folks, I'm just going to flip through these slides real fast. Again, here's some information on me. Go and get my book, for crying out loud, $2.99. I don't know what else I could do. We made movies because you don't want to read a book. I gave you a book, and they came out and like, it wasn't within my controls. It was the publishers, and they put it out there for 20 some odd dollars, and they said, I can't afford it. Then we put it on audio. Oh, I don't like listening. Okay, then we gave you a Kindle, $2.99. Now I'm telling you to come into my movie for free, and you don't want to come. I don't know. I can only do what I can only do. But now guess what? The ball is in all your courts right now. It's time for you to go out there and seize your life, seize this moment, and do something with your future. God bless every single one of you guys. Thank you, Mauricio Bowsa, for joining us. Until this coming Saturday and next Tuesday, we'll see you then. God bless everybody. Continue to wear your mask, social distance, be safe. Take care, and thanks for joining us tonight.